And oh. Hello guys, and welcome to this Volks Wizard video. And in today's video I'm pleased to present some brand new Up GTI content, because we're going to compare this frisky little hot hatch with the new Ibiza 1 litre TSI FR. Now I know it's from the class above, so it's maybe not an immediate rival, but it contains exactly the same 115 horsepower engine as the Up GTI, and on the used market these two cars with similar mileages and similar registration dates are only £500 apart. So I wanted to find out if the Ibiza offers all the fun from the Up GTI, but in a more rounded package. So without any further ado, let's have a closer look at these two hot-ish hatches. Okay, before we begin the tour, let me just say both these cars are for sale at volkswizard.co.uk. The Up GTI has done just over 10,000 miles and is yours for £11,500. The Ibiza has done just under 12,000 miles and is yours for £11,990. Okay, we'll come back to the Up GTI because this is quite a famous example that some of you may have already recognised. Let's crack on with the Ibiza then. So this is the new model, came out in 2017, and it's based on the MQB A0 platform, which underpins the new Polo and the new A1. In fact, the A1's actually made in the same factory as the Ibiza in Spain. And I think this car is pretty good value. Standard it's 16.5 grand, and it's by no means basic. You can quite easily spec an Up GTI up to that. So yeah, it's an interesting proposition. It's a great looking car as well. The Up's a city car, and it's a very good one. It's a narrow, relatively tall car for the space inside the cabin, but it does look a little bit dumpy. This car is wider, lower and longer, but not excessively so, so it still works as a city car, but it just looks a lot sleeker. And the wheels help as well. This FL spec gives you these lovely 17-inch wheels, and they're very simple design, so they're very easy to refurbish. Importantly, they come with some nice Pirelli tyres. Unfortunately, they're still branded Eco Impact, so that probably means they're not as good as they possibly could be, but they're a bit wider than those on the Up GTI. So we've got 215 wide, so that instead of 195, and we've got 45 profile, which means there's a little bit more cushioning here than the 40 section tyres on the Up. You can't turn the traction control off on this car either, so it's quite important you've got decent tyres. Up GTI owners, look away now though, because we've got drum brakes on the back, so that's quite a surprise really, bearing in mind it's actually got an inferior power to weight ratio, but I think maybe because it's designed to carry more weight, because it's a bigger car so you can fit more in the boot, they've had to put those on there. But yeah, they look pretty good. It's only available in 5-door, and it's a very, very good looking car. We've got proper sport seats as well, so that's another benefit over the Up GTI. These are, you know, really nice seats. I'll just nip in around the other side and give you a better look, but before we do that, let's just have a quick look in the boot. So it's got a rear view camera, which just like the Up GTI one is tagged just under there, in the number plate recess. Got a decent boot. Again, no spare wheel, just a big enough gap for a spare wheel and some tyre foam. The seat I think is in my driving position, so let's do the Car Wow car buyer test. I'm quite happy, even though it's got a lower roofline than the Up GTI. I could wear numerous hats and I'd be perfectly comfortable. So yeah, that's good. I've got a light headliner, which I've said before makes the cabin very airy. So yeah, impressive for a small car. Keep fit windows, but you know, you have to remember this car, just like the Up, is built to a price. So unlike the Up, I suppose unlike the Up, you do get keep fit windows. And wow, yeah, they do go most of the way down. So that's actually, even though they're only keep fit windows, that's still one up to the Ibiza, because you can open them instead of hinging the ones on the 5-door Up. Now, this car's got electric folding mirrors. I don't think they're an option on the Up. We've got auto headlights, we've got emergency city braking, we've got a couple of USB ports where you actually need them there, and aux in as well. This car's got keyless entry and start. I'm not sure if that's standard. Some people don't like it because it makes them vulnerable to theft, but you can't argue with the convenience factor. And we've got this massive infotainment screen, so You know, on the up, yes, it's all well and good, you can put your phone there and clip it in, but look at this, it's brilliant. And there's numerous media options, so you can have input from CD, blimey, CD, oh yeah, CD, SD in the glove box, USB 1, USB 2, and aux in as well, so yeah, that's pretty well connected. Got a manual handbrake. We do have height adjustments of the passenger seat as well, so again, that's another option on the up. We've got cruise control here. Look at this, guys. Up and down like the up, but it also goes in and out. So it's just little things like that that maybe the Up GTI could have done better, but they can't revise it just for the Up GTI, so hopefully in the next model, which according to Joe Knight at TL Derby Volkswagen is going to come, there will be a new model soon apparently. So we haven't got digital gauges, but they're still pretty cool. Got a trip computer. Obviously we've got a multi-function steering wheel as well, but so is the Up GTI. Leather trimmed with red stitching. 6-speed gearbox. I imagine it's the same gearbox with very long gearing as the Up GTI. Decent glove box, yep. Okay, so we'll find out how it drives. You went to turn the key off, but there is no key there. We'll find out how it drives shortly. Let's just have a quick reminder of the Up GTI then. Okay, so tungsten silver 3-door black roof. Take in this bit because this is what you get if you have front assist and auto headlights. So I think one of these will be the radar for front assist, one of them will be the sensor for the lights, and I think it might give you auto wipers as well. So this car was on the Volkswagen UK press fleet for just under a year. The main driver was Alex from Throttle. You've probably seen his videos because they get millions, billions, trillions of views, and rightly so. We've got a climate control panel there, so that's an upgrade. There is something else. Did I mention parking sensors? Oh yeah, Beats. So we've got the Beats sound pack there with a little sign on the speakers. And there's the famous stroke infamous button, shut up, for turning the front assist off. So it's not traction control, people, that is just front assist. Big shame that. And oh, Alex, are these yours? If they are, just get in touch and I'll pop them in the post for you, alright? It's a great car, but what we need to find out is whether the driving experience of this car makes up for its lack of stuff compared to the Ibiza. So, without any further ado, let's go and drive these two cars on my favourite little test routes. Okay guys, here we are behind the wheel of the SEAT Ibiza 1 litre TSI FR, 115 horsepower. We'll come to the horsepower shortly, but for now let's just take in the cabin, because this is where the Ibiza really trumps the Up, because this cabin feels like a cabin from a class above, and bearing in mind the Ibiza is already a class above the Up, it's an incredible feat for the money. So yeah, it just feels like we're in a Golf, which is no surprise because these MQB A0 platform cars are actually very similar in size to the Mark IV Golf, and that was never seen as a particularly small car. In fact, I think rear legroom is actually superior. The start of the show for me is the infotainment screen. So we've got a really big screen here, it's like an iPad, and it works well. We've got Apple CarPlay, which means I can have Waze on here as an app instead of the nav, and it takes me all over the country without any problem. Waze as well. The nav is a little bit rubbish, so yeah, if you've never used Waze, give it a go, and it works superbly with Apple CarPlay on these cars. We've also got the rear view camera on this car, so that means we get a nice big screen here on the up. It's like looking at a Nokia phone from the 90s. It's a really small image. On here it's massive, which is really good. Refinement's really good as well. These cars are generally a little bit noisier, the SEATs, than the Volkswagen Group equivalents, so might have a little bit less soundproofing, but this feels perfectly fine. Now under the bonnet we've got the 115 horsepower engine from the up. It does 0 to 60 in 9.3 compared to 8.8 in the up GTI. Gearing's pretty similar as well, so feel is pretty similar. It's a bit heavier, but actually I think maybe it feels slightly less energetic than the up, and that's where the up will trump this car, but it still feels pretty good to me. The gearing, I'd say, it's probably a bit longer than you might like. I mean, we've just changed into second at 45 miles an hour and there's a long way to go on the rev counter, so it's only when you get it at, like, to higher revs at about 5,000 where that 3-cylinder character starts to come through. It's actually pretty quiet. There's no fake sound in this car, so it just feels like a normal car until you get that engine singing. Ride, I'd say, is certainly better than the up. That doesn't mean it's a better car, it just means that maybe it's been geared towards being more comfortable than handling agility. But first impressions on this road are that the suspension just feels a lot more grown up. It feels more Golf-like, even though we've got a torsion beam rear shared with the Polo and the A1 and the up. We haven't got the multi-link of the Golf. It feels like it's doing that thing of riding well and handling well, which is a real Golf trait. It's making a much better compromise than the up, which is pretty hard and yet still quite underdamped. We'll try that again now anyway. So road's pretty quiet. Again, just like the up, we can't turn the traction control off, but I think the fact the car weighs a bit more and is pushing its wider tyres into the ground means it's less of an issue. So second gear now. I mean, that is really impressive. Really impressive. There's no roll or anything, and there's no scrabbling. Superb. And it still feels like a small car. We've got probably a slightly wider axle width, which gives it a lot more stability on roads like this, but it's not a big car. It still fits in the lanes on this B road, which I don't use very often these days because I've had some very near misses from people being over the white line. It's too big for Golfs, this road, but on this road this car feels superb. And yeah, just riding over some rough bits on the edge of the curb there, nothing at all. It's super. Is it fun? Well, yeah, I don't think it's got the crazy friskiness of the up GTI. That's just a unique combination of components in that car, but it's not bad. I mean, the fact we have to change to second to have some fun is a bit of a worry, but you can hear the engine now. A bit reluctant at the top end, probably because of all the extra weight, but it's alright. And fast corners like this one, it goes in and it feels excellent. We've got driving modes which help, so we put a bit more weight in the steering. This is in sport mode. It's a shame the up doesn't do that. I don't tend to miss it when I'm driving the up hard, but now I've driven this, I'll always be thinking how good this feels because we've got the modes. So a very impressive showing from the Ibiza. Can the up GTI really contend with such a well-rounded car? Well, there's only one way to find out. Let's go and get in the up GTI, bring it down to that gnarly British B road and see what it's got to offer. Okay guys, so here we are behind the wheel of the up GTR, my favourite British B road, and straight away what gets you is how much noise this engine makes. It's partly fake, partly genuine, but it seems to be proud of its 3-cylinder heritage. It doesn't really care that every other car has 4 cylinders. It wants to remind you this has got 3 and it's different, it's proud of it. And I'm not surprised because it performs so amazingly well. I'd forgotten how good this car was. The Ibiza in isolation is incredible. You know, it's a 1 litre again, it's the same pretty much engine, but it just doesn't have that enthusiastic performance that makes this car so special. And straight away, yeah, I'm smiling a lot more than I did in the Ibiza. And we're only in 4th gear and it's just great. The only downside with this particular model is that when you start having fun, the toolkit from the Beat sound pack starts putting dents in the boot, so that kind of dampens your enthusiasm a bit. But even so, conditions are pretty much perfect today because it's just bone dry and there's no traffic around, about 20 degrees. and yeah, you soon catch up with your average country vehicle on a road like this. But don't worry, we'll turn around and do it again. But yeah, I don't really care that we haven't got a big screen or one-touch windows on this kind of road, because what this car can do kind of like transcends all that rubbish. So let's remind ourselves what it really can do. So into third, because second's a little bit short, and yeah, traction control intervened then, but it didn't cause the sort of hesitation you can get if you're doing straight line acceleration. It's just ooh, that is quite fast. Yes, 60 miles an hour. So yeah, it's, you know, it's turbulent, it doesn't ride bumps as well as the Ibiza. It's a shorter wheelbase, so it's friskier. But what's wrong with frisky? Ultimately, we're not setting a lap time, we want to have fun, and it doesn't really matter what the speedo says as long as we're within the law. So I think where this car wins compared to most cars, particularly the Ibiza, is the fun per mile per hour. People talk about miles per gallon, but this car's specialist area is giving you fun within the speed limit, so I guess you could say miles per mph. Does that sound like rubbish? Probably. But yeah, is it a rival for the Ibiza? Well, you know, the Ibiza's actually more impressive than I expected it to be, and if you don't do a lot of this kind of driving, it's probably a better balanced car, because it does give you a lot of the fun of the GTI. It's probably just as cheap to insure, and it's almost as good on fuel. It should be, because it's, you know, the same engine. So yeah, it's good, but there's no way it can beat a car like this for fun, especially on a road like this. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this Volkswizard video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, please comment, please share, please subscribe, and I'll see you for the next one soon. But don't go just yet, because I never know when I'm going to make another GTI video, or whether I'm going to drive this car on this kind of road when it's so quiet. So if you want to hang on for the next couple of minutes, I'm going to drive this road without talking to the camera and just demonstrate to you how brilliant this car is.